What have you found is the easiest or a very effective way to get somebody to remember that they have greatness within them?
Well, I am very much a feeling creature. So I often will just remind the people who at least work with me or my students of like, slow down the mind, feel into yourself, like feel into that part of you that holds that potential, like feel into your energy, feel into your expansiveness, like slow down, come within and feel that. Because if people can slow down enough to tap in and feel that inside of themselves, that spark is awakened, and that's where that potential can be born from. But we have to feel it, we have to know it in ourselves before we could ever bring it into the world. And so I think just, yeah, just slowing down, come to the breath, close the eyes, and feel into yourself, feel into your energy, feel into your being, and live from there, move from there, create from there.
Yep, I love it, and I love the fact, and I agree 1,000% is that it's within you, not outside of you.
Yes.
And I think too many adults, especially adults that are looking for more in their life, spend all their time, money, and resources looking from outside to come in, when really the truth is it's right there the whole time if you go to it and listen to it. That's
Yeah.
powerful. I love that. Yeah, that I just love your superpower,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing that I love about it is we can all share that superpower.
Mm-hmm.
If at the end of this episode we all decide to go out today and just remind one person that we contact that they could be great and that there's greatness within them, what would the world become?
Yeah. And then you remind that person, so then they wake up and they get to remind somebody else, and it's just this beautiful ripple effect that we get to create.
Yeah, I love it. And that, yeah, man, it kind of just took my breath away there for a second.
Hmm.
So Courtney, I have a question for you because it wasn't it wasn't always like this for you, I'm sure, right? You grew up in the school system that you later got to realize was broken. And as you know, us at least mostly in the United States, we go through the school system and no one ever teaches us to go within, to close our eyes, to follow the breath. No one ever teaches us how to find greatness within. And you mentioned that your superpower, which is a big part of your life purpose now, you discovered through witnessing these students seeing their greatness within and seeing how the curriculum you're given to taught doesn't really do a good job of helping them see that within themselves. So if we back it up, how were you able to see that within you first before you could actually witness others in their greatness? Where did it all start for you?
I feel fortunate that at some level within myself, I've always known since I was a little girl that I was special, but I believe we're all special. But I still knew it within myself. I knew there was something in me that had this huge potential. And so I definitely carried that. I was lucky to be born in a very loving family. And so my mom was a school teacher and was very, very giving, and we always had children over for meals and donating our extra clothes. And so I got to see kindness and I got to see love and an open heart. And so I was able to kind of carry that through my life. But really, it wasn't until my last few years of college that I really stepped into that more like spiritual connected side of myself. And in all honesty, like I was seeking more. I wanted to understand more. I didn't grow up with religion or anything. And so I started studying different belief systems and exploring what that would look like, and ended up going to a music festival. And 100% transparency, I was really young. I took some acid and just like my world just changed. I had a very profound experience that first time, and I was sitting under a tree meditating in the forest. And I felt like I was there for like 5 minutes maybe. But when I connected with my friends later, I found out I was there for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours in meditation. But when I opened my eyes, so it was just me. And when I opened my eyes, there were almost like 30 people around me that had joined me in meditation. And I could feel it happening in me. I could like feel myself expanding. I could feel myself growing. I could like feel all this opening. And I didn't realize I was like pulling people in to connect with me. And then I opened my eyes and it was one of those moments of like, whoa, like I did this. Like I created this safe space for people to come into and be with me in. And so from that point on, my mission was then, how do I find that on my own? Because it's within me. It's obviously within me. And so what are the tools and techniques that I can use to enter that sacred space on my own? Because it's mine. I found it. And so how do I get back there? How do I get back there naturally? And that's kind of been the path that led me towards all of the other practices that I now have that naturally allow me to come back to that space within myself.
You know, it's funny because Steve Jobs has a very similar story to where he was working on Apple and he tried acid for the first time. And that experience actually led him to India. And he was deep in meditation and looked within for months, and then was able to come back into the world. So was your experience similar? I know that India is part of your story. Was that after your music festival experience or before?
Yeah, the first time I went to India was a few years after that, actually. And it was when I finally was able to move through or not the Bhagavad Gita, but the autobiography of a yogi. I had said earlier, like I couldn't really make it through the book. I had to come back to it. And I came back to it a few years after that experience and was able to move through it. And in reading that book, felt called to go to India. I was learning about all these saints and these wisdom keepers, and just like felt my soul just like calling me to like go to that sacred place and connect with these mountains that they spoke about, and just to travel the country in trust and experience. And so yeah, that was I remember like feeling called and not acting. I let my mind talk me out of it. And it was like almost a year where I would feel called and then stop myself, and called and then stop myself. And I was at work one day sitting on my computer with a coworker, and I felt that call again. Like I just so strongly was like, oh, I feel like I'm supposed to go to India. And she was like, just do it, and I was like, okay. And I just like pulled up and booked a flight for 3 weeks and just like, and did it. And then after was like, what did I just do? But I also was feeling called to India because of yoga. I had taken my first 200 hours training in the West, and it was missing something. It was lacking the philosophy. It was lacking the roots. It was lacking the depth that I was searching for. And so that was another part of really feeling called to go to India, where it originates, where it's rooted, where the sacredness still lives with yoga, because it's really hard to find that sacred experience with yoga in the West, because it's become a workout, not a work in. And so just
Nice.
feeling called for these few different reasons to just step into that place, that sacred place where I knew I could find more of myself.
Why do you think you were, even though you were being called here, why do you think you would step away from it and pull yourself back and stay in the routine that you had that clearly wasn't fulfilling you? Why do you, and share that with the community? Like what was it that was wanting you to stay there, and how did you finally overcome that and just leap into where you thought you should be?
Yeah, the mind. I think that for most of us, we have that internal guiding system and we hear it, but we don't respond quick enough. And then the mind comes in and it says, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough time, you're not ready, whatever those beliefs are that just keep us keep us stuck, keep us limited, keep us small. And I left too much space. I didn't act when I felt inspired, and my mind came in. It told me I couldn't. I listened, and then I'd feel inspired again, and let the mind come back in. And so for me, it's been a beautiful journey of learning to move beyond that limiting mind and live from that limitless heart.